Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to Illustrated Insights and to topic 3 of the Neurodiverse Creative Journal. In this episode, I am creating a page on the topic My Peeps, which is all your support people. So do you know who your support people are? Do you need to think about it? Perhaps you need to write a little bit of a journal entry to find out who they are. In my journal entry, I even thanked my support people. It doesn't matter if you have a neurodiverse diagnosis or not. You can follow along or you can just enjoy watching. Let's get started.
As usual, I'm starting by writing some thoughts down on the page. I really am finding this is the best way to start my pages lately, because not only does it eliminate that blank page, it also helps settle my mind and get it into that creative mode. And of course, I have to disclose here, I'm not a therapist, but I am a teacher with many years of experience. And for the past few years, I've specialised in helping students with the issues that accompany being neurodiverse. Just like any other human, I have doubts about my creative processes and how good they are, so that's what this journaling is focusing on here. I'm using a water-soluble pencil, and I'll also be doing many layers over this, so it doesn't really matter what I write. It's all going to be covered up anyway. It's more about the process, getting my brain into the right place, and helping to overcome that blank page. Then of course I'm adding some blocks of colour with water-soluble crayons. These ones are Inktense colour sticks, and I kind of felt like I was in a yellow and orange mood, so those are the colours that I selected. I do try not to get my page too wet, but I always end up using far too much water. But I do have my trusty heat gun to dry things out. While that background's getting nice and dry, I start by finding some oranges and yellows in my collage papers. These are all papers that I've made before using gel printing or stenciling, or even a little bit of tissue with paint rolled out on it. I'm just tearing these into strips at the moment. I've got an idea just to do some strips in a sort of a corner diamond pattern. First I'll get an idea of how the different colours are working together, just lay them out on my page just to get some ideas. When I'm happy with a bit of an arrangement, I commit. So I get out the Liquitex satin gel medium, spread some on the corner of my page, and start adding the collage papers in strips over the corners. I've mentioned before that I'm quite an intuitive artist, so quite often things don't end up as I've first planned, but I just go with the flow. As I'm pasting them in, I'm not worried about the collage papers going over the edge of the paper. Once I've got all my collage pieces in place and it's had a really good chance to dry, I'll just trim it back to the edge of the page. I use plenty of the Liquitex satin media on the page, and then I go over the top of the collage again just to make sure that everything's stuck down really well. I'm so glad I have this heat gun. It helps me get things dry in between layers. Now it's dry really well, and I can just trim off those collage papers that are just sticking up over the edge. I've mentioned before, just use what you have. I've got 3 peachy and white acrylic paints here, and I'm using a catalyst just to spread the paint across the surface of my collage. If you don't have a catalyst, you can use an old credit card. It might seem a bit strange to put all these collage layers and then to cover them up with the paint. I'm not completely covering them up with the paint, but what I am doing is unifying the different layers together with the paint. And I'm also creating a slightly lighter layer that I can add more layers on top of. It really is surprising how much these layers really do make a difference to a piece. They add complexity and interest, though there is a bit of a delicate balance between busy and complexity. Did I mention I love my heat gun? Here comes another layer. This stencil is called Garden and it's available from our Etsy shop. I'll leave the link in the description. Of course, the paint is just whatever I had handy. This is a burgundy from Reeves, I think. I'm using a stippling brush and just pushing the paint through the spaces in the stencil in a kind of a patting motion. You don't want your paint too wet while you do this, and if you've got too much paint on your brush, you can just remove a little bit on your palette. And here's the result. I want the main feature of this page to be the hands holding the heart, so I need this to stand out a little bit more. I'm using a Payne's Grey, it's a Montmartre acrylic. The helping hands is another one of our stencils, and of course I'll leave the link below in the description. Just use the same motion, a patting through the spaces in the stencil with a paint that's not too wet. The wetter the paint, the more it's going to bleed underneath the stencil. The drier the paint, the more layers you need to apply. I thought long and hard about the main focus for this page, the topic being my peeps. A lot of people suggested family and friends, but I didn't want to make it too complicated with figures. And I thought, how nice would it be if we could have two hands holding up the heart and I can write the names of all the people who support me in the hands. Let's make that heart stand out. I'm using an art bar from Derwent, which is water soluble. It's a water soluble crayon. So I just lay down a nice thick layer of that and then use some water on a brush to spread it out evenly. I'm going to need those hands to be a little bit lighter if I'm going to write on them. So I use another art bar, which is an opaque white, in the hands and the arms. Same method, just laying down some colour and then spreading it around with some water on my brush. I did go over the stenciled lines a little bit, but I'll come back later and go over those with a black paint pen. I feel like the background still needs some unifying, so I grabbed some more acrylic paints and my favourite kids sponge, and I mix the paints on the sponge to sponge right around the outside edge of the double page spread to give it a bit of a border. There's still some dusty pink left on my palette, so I grabbed some bubble wrap and make some marks on the border with the dusty rose, white and the bubble wrap. Those bubble wrap marks can be quite thick and take quite a long time to dry, unless of course you have a heat gun. The wider the hands will be easy to write over, but I wanted to give them a little bit more definition. So I took two more colours of those art bars, a sort of a terracotta and also a red, just to give the hands a little bit of definition. And because I'm going to use a paint pen over the top of this, I need to make sure the water used to activate those art bars is really dry. Time to journal. I'm going to write my name in the heart, and then I'm writing the names of all the people who support me in the hands. And as I go, I'm just darkening over those lines which I accidentally covered with the watercolour step. So who are your peeps? Who are the people that support you? The ones that will stand up for you? The ones who will help you when you're having issues? There might be friends, family, health professionals. Sometimes their names won't come to you quickly until you realise who it was that helped you out of that jam, or who gave you good advice, or even just listened to you when you had a rant. Even if you can't think of who they are now, you might be able to come back to this page later when you realise somebody's really done something great to support you. I wanted to write some more thoughts at the top of the page, so I just popped down a clean white sheet to lean on, and then I just wrote some more thoughts on who my peeps are and what they do for me. And I just finished off by saying how grateful I am for these people and that I really hope I can give back to them. I really hope you've enjoyed watching me make my page, and of course we'd love to see what you create. Leave us a comment below or click on the link in the description to come and join our community. The next topic is called Whispers, and it's all about how other people might perceive us as neurodiverse people. You might consider subscribing to our channel and click on the notifications bell so you don't miss out on future episodes. I hope to see you next week. Thanks for watching.